You're listening to Inside Lebo, a podcast giving you an inside look at Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Hosted by Assistant Municipal Manager and Municipal Planner Ian McMeans and Assistant Public Information Officer and Online Editor Stephanie Hackey.
Hello and welcome to Inside Lebo. I'm your host, Assistant Municipal Manager and Municipal Planner Ian McMeans.
And I'm Assistant Public Information Officer and Online Editor Stephanie Hackey.
It's May, and around here, that means it's time for Mount Lebanon Magazine to publish their annual Municipal Resource Guide.
Our guest today is Mount Lebanon Magazine Managing Editor Merle Jantz. You see his name every month in the Mount Lebanon Magazine, but now we get to talk to him in real life. Welcome, Merle.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you.
So can you tell us, what is your role with Mount Lebanon Magazine and the Public Information Office?
I'm the managing editor. Laura Lilly, our public information officer, is the executive editor of the magazine. She and Keith McGill, our municipal manager, are ultimately responsible for the magazine's content. I assign stories, work with writers on them, I do some writing myself, and I coordinate with the advertising and design staff to make sure that the magazine makes it into homes on time.
That's awesome. So he works with people like me and Carrie, our producer, as well.
Right.
Yeah. We're your favorites, of course, right?
Of course, yeah.
Of course. And you work with a wide array of freelancers as well, correct?
Yeah, we have a lot of freelancers and work with a wide range of people.
Yeah, I love it. We have
And
good
is
staff.
it just the magazine that gets mailed out in hard copy, or is there also online content as well?
Yeah, we have a website, lebomag.com, and the print stories find their way onto the website, and we also do a lot of online-only content, which Stephanie and Carrie are primarily responsible for.
Yeah, we're always looking for good things going on in the community to put in both the magazine and the website.
Right.
Yeah. So, what is the goal and purpose of Mount Lebanon Magazine?
Well, the magazine is the print arm of the Public Information Office. And like I said, we also have social media platforms and magazine and municipal websites. The front section of the magazine contains a lot of municipal information, like reports from public safety, public works, any new ordinances, meetings, other important dates, things like that. We have a feature well, 3 or 4 feature stories, one of which is always about some function in municipal government. And the others cover a wide range of topics, really on anything, but always have to have some kind of a Mount Lebanon connection. Then the back of the magazine has more people-y kind of human interest items, resident receiving an award or a promotion, maybe writing a book or doing something interesting. And then the last page, something that we just started this year, is a historical photo, something we've been doing in collaboration with the Historical Society of Mount Lebanon. We've gotten some good feedback on that.
So it sounds like there's a lot of thought, and I know from behind the scenes there's a lot of effort that goes into this magazine, correct?
Yeah, we work about 6 to 8 weeks in advance. So it's like we'll start planning, like the May issue, we start planning around the 1st of March. And it takes that long to get everything written, edited, photographed, and send it off to the printer.
What's the process as the managing editor? What do you do? So you assign a story? Do you, how does a story get from start to finish?
Yeah, I will, we will have, as you're familiar, long-range planning meetings.
Yep.
When we have our breaks. We have 10 times a year issues. So that means that we have kind of like some downtime in December and in June. And we use that time to map out the next 6 months of how we're going to, what stories we're going to do. And from that list, I'll find who I think is the best writer for it, whether a freelancer or somebody on staff. And we will go back and forth with that. And ideally, we like to have enough time that the stories can be done in time that I can then work with our design staff, Chris Leeper and Judy McCoskey, to come up with interesting and creative ways to illustrate the stories.
So there are a lot of folks that are a part of every single story.
Yeah.
I love it.
And you mentioned that there's 10 issues a year, and that separates us a little bit from some of our neighboring communities that only publish a quarterly newsletter, whereas we have a full front-to-back, full-color magazine.
Front to back, yeah, at least about 60 pages 10 times a year.
Yeah. So that's a great service that the municipality is able to provide for our
Right.
residents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so very recently, some of our staff in the Public Information Office and associated with the magazine were nominated for some highly prestigious Golden Quill Awards. And the finalists were announced, and we did have several finalists from Mount Lebanon Magazine. So can you talk a little bit about what the Golden Quill Awards are?
Yeah, the Press Club of Southwestern Pennsylvania has a competition every year showcasing the best journalism in the region. This year we managed to get 12 nominations. Each member of our editorial staff, Laura, myself, Stephanie, and Carrie, received at least one nomination. Stephanie got 4.
Oh, how about that?
Actually 5 if we count the nomination for the whole crew of Inside Lebo.
Yeah, so if you
did you hear that?
If you didn't know, you are listening to a award finalist podcast.
Right.
Pretty exciting for us.
It is, actually.
We're brand new, and I love it.
And thanks everyone who has tuned in and listened, and everyone's hard work on the show. We really appreciate everyone's interaction. And that's awesome for the public information staff. And congratulations, Stephanie, on your leading the way.
Multiple nominations.
Thank you. It's I couldn't have done it without you, Merle, because I say every story I write goes through Merle and Laura, and they all have a big hand in it as well. So it's a team effort for sure. I can never take credit myself.
Great. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more on Inside Lebo with Merle Jantz from the Public Information Office. Welcome back to Inside Lebo. We're here with Merle Jantz, who is the managing editor of Mount Lebanon Magazine, and we have a very special issue coming up in May, which includes the Municipal Resource Guide. So can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, since the magazine's inception in 1981, the May issue has featured a 16-page popular annual financial report, which is a document the municipality is required to publish, something that details where our revenues come from and what we're spending tax money on. When Laura took over the Public Information Office in 2019, our May issue was already completed, but she had the idea to expand it on the annual report and expand it and make the entire issue a Municipal Resource Guide. I like to call it a user's manual for Mount Lebanon, and we hope that residents keep it around all year.
Cool. So what all is included with the resource guide?
Well, as we compile the resource guide, we ask department heads, what are the questions you're asked most often? And we put those answers in the guide to save them staff time and to save residents a phone call or an email. So the information is there whenever you need it. Well, that's why we're hoping that you keep it around all year. Like, for example, you'll get the guide in May. In August, maybe you want to sign your kids up for a recreation department program. Or in October, if you're using your fireplace, you want the fire department to do a safety check on your chimney, the guide's right there, so you can just make a call.
So why is it important for our residents to know about each of these departments?
Well, I kind of feel like whether you've lived here your whole life or whether you just moved in, there's always information that you might not be aware of. Always like other aspects of municipal departments, and we like to make that information available.
Absolutely. What's new and different this year in the resource guide? I know we talked a lot in our meetings upstairs in PIO about, how do we make this new every year and exciting and different? How do we make it something people want to read every year?
Yeah, that is kind of a challenge. I mean, we started in 2020, so this is our 4th one. And yeah, trying to keep it fresh or trying to keep things on track. But this year we tweaked things a little bit. Along with an overview of each department, we have what's new, what's noteworthy, and what you need to know. It's alliterative: new, noteworthy, need to know.
I like that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like for an example, like with Public Works, what's new is the street sign toppers, which you may have noticed for the streets located in our historical district. What's noteworthy is the fact that this year's mild winter meant we only used about 1/3 of the road salt it normally takes us to get through. So we have like 2/3 of our salt supply ready for next year. And need to know is a reminder that the best way to report something like a missed trash pickup or a broken street light, or if you want to apply for a block party permit or really make any kind of a service request, do it through My Lebo, which is Mount Lebanon's virtual community gateway.
Yeah, that's great. So since you're here chatting with us, let's talk a little bit more about the magazine. How does someone submit an idea they might have for a story or something that, they're like, hey, I'd like to learn more about this. Can you tell me more?
Yeah, well, you can contact me with your story ideas. You can call me at 412-343-3787, or email me at mjantz@mountlebanon.org. Actually, everybody on the PIO staff, if you look on our Lebo Mag website, all of our contact information is there under the Contact Us. The stories need to have some kind of a Mount Lebanon connection, something a resident or former resident is doing, or like an interesting community program. We have some semi-regular features, like the newest one is called Called to Service. Stories about people who served a stint in the Peace Corps, Teach for America, or something like that.
Nice.
We have features called Side Hustles, residents who have some cool sidelight in addition to their regular jobs. Beyond the Bubble, which are photos from cool places you visited. We just got one of those in our upcoming issue about this a guy and his friend who walked the Thames River. No, these tow paths along Thames River, something that they've been wanting to do since the pandemic, but finally were able to do it. So yeah, give me a call or send me an email.
How do you come up with the ideas for these series?
A lot of those are just generated through conversation up in the office. Somebody might have read something or heard something cool, and we say, well, how can we take that? How can we adapt that to Mount Lebanon Magazine?
So there's really a lot of conversation that goes on behind this, and I'm sure ideas from residents as well, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, it's the whole thing's collaborative effort.
Like
Great.
I said before, teamwork, right?
Teamwork
we're
makes
all
the
about
dream
teamwork.
work.
Yep.
Great. So you mentioned, obviously, we have the Mount Lebanon Magazine, which is delivered to every household 10 times a year. There's the lebomag.com website. Is there any other good ways for residents to kind of keep up with what's happening in the news of the municipality?
Well, we have an e-newsletter called the 710. We call it the 710 because it comes from 710 Washington Road. And it goes out every other Friday and contains bits of information that we can't get into print because of our production deadlines. Like, for example, just recently when the playgrounds in Mount Lebanon Park were closed for maintenance, we couldn't get that out in the magazine because we didn't know about it far enough in advance, but we were able to get that out in the 710 and let people know about it. And you can subscribe to that. If you go on our website, lebomag.com, there's a button there where you can subscribe to the 710.
I love the 710 because it has a really fun tone to it. I don't know how you do it, but it's funny. And I will say, when I was out on maternity leave, that was one thing I kept reading still. I read the magazine when it would come out, but every other week I would read the 710 and I would get really excited because I felt like I was staying in the know.
There you go.
Yeah, It definitely did its job for me. So I would highly, highly recommend signing up for that. Is there anything else that we haven't asked you that you would like to talk about the magazine or the Municipal Resource Guide?
No, I think that's about it. I think you've
Yeah.
covered just about everything.
Awesome. We're doing the reporter job and asking the right questions, right? Merle's my editor upstairs, so that's why I have to.
I guess that's why we're a finalist for an award, because we asked the good questions.
The tough
Absolutely.
questions,
Look at
yeah.
that. The hard, tough questions.
Yes.
This
Yep.
is my first time on this side of being interviewed. How am I doing?
You're doing great.
Great.
Yeah, perfect. I know, I've always thought about it, as a journalist. I
Yeah.
interview all the time, but whenever you get interviewed, I don't know what that would be like.
Yeah.
It's probably intimidating for sure. Sorry, Ian.
A little bit, sometimes,
We're always bugging Ian for
all
interviews
good.
about different topics in the planning office and whatnot.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Merle, for joining us. We really appreciate it. That is it for this episode of Inside Lebo, produced by Carrie Monyo, with music by Drew Monyo and graphics by Chris Leeper.
We'll be back in a few weeks with another episode of Inside Lebo. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Inside Lebo, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office. Learn more about all things Lebo at mountlebanon.org or by following our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages.